This is Mastering Your Wealth with David Gagnon, the podcast.
Procrastination has its consequences. Get this, Whoopi Goldberg recently told this story on The View about estate planning and end-of-life wishes.
You don't want to wait till after somebody passes to figure out what they wanted. Please have those talks now. Do not wait until someone is gone and you can't ask them what they want, and then you're in the middle of a hellhole. Yeah. You don't want that. Take care of it. It sounds scary, but I'm telling you, do your kids a favor. Do your kids a favor. Save them the hassle of trying to figure out what your needs are.
Listen, here's the deal. Having these conversations are difficult, devastating, sad, you name it. It's nothing that anybody wants to talk about, but it's crucial that you do for a multitude of reasons. And David, you're going to get into that here. So, how do you help your clients have these tough conversations and really see the light at the end of the tunnel of how important it is?
Well, I'll tell you, looking at the overall plan, the first plan that we're usually going to work on is your financial plan. That is your life plan. And that is what you want to accomplish with your money while you're alive. But we also want to make sure that in the event you pass away, we have your estate plan designed and integrated very efficiently into your financial plan. So we can make sure that there's a very clear transition and efficient transition over to the next generation that might inherit your wealth with the least amount of cost and time delay of probate. And the outcome is really what you intended to happen with no hiccups. And your estate plan is important to carefully think through because a lot of people don't have an estate plan. And at the least, what everybody should have are updated beneficiaries on all their accounts, whether it's their IRAs or their 401ks, their bank accounts, which are called transfer on death designations or payable on death. So they'll use the acronym TOD or POD. Mm-hmm. And that'll avoid probate, and your beneficiaries will get their funds or their inheritance in a very timely and very low cost or no cost fashion. Now, for those who die in what's called intestate without a will and no beneficiaries, well, now the state will determine through probate how those assets will be dispersed amongst the state guidelines. And usually it starts with, the parents and the other family members down below, and there's certain percentages that they each would get. So to really have your wealth passed on the way you intended, the very important thing, if you have no will or trust, then, make sure your designations on your accounts, your beneficiary designations are all up to date, both primary and contingent. But then you have some other assets where you can't really tie a beneficiary onto unless you have a will, and that would be like real estate, the home. And so what we do is we put together the financial plan, then we have that discussion on how to integrate and set up the estate plan. And it's important that people understand their options, and every family dynamic might be a little different. So if you have a special needs child that's getting maybe state benefits, well, we have to be very careful in planning there because they might have benefits that they will be disqualified from if they get an inheritance. So there's some estate planning we can do to protect that child's interest with the right type of trust. Mm-hmm. And, some people have children that they don't trust leaving money to, but they still want to give it to them. So we'll have trusts set up that are going to control and determine how that child will invest and receipt of that money with a spendthrift trust. But I'm not an attorney. We don't draft these documents. But there's a lot of great information on our website, and we have what's called a estate planning portal that people can go to, and there's a lot of good information there about the importance of estate planning, the different types of documents that would be important, and there's even a way for you to have your documents prepared. We don't do it. We have a back office law firm that will do it, and it's very affordable. All the documents that you would want to have in your estate plan are part of that package, but it's important to also have a power of attorney document. So if you become incapacitated, somebody such as maybe an adult child can step in and manage your bills and pay your bills and handle your finances. You want to have a healthcare directive so that if you end up in a hospital and you're on life support and you want to convey what your wishes are in that situation when you can no longer communicate, that healthcare power will be one of the things that the healthcare provider is going to ask for, so they know how to treat you. So, there's a lot of different things that have to be thought through when we put together the design of the estate plan after we do the financial plan. So if you have some questions and you're listening to, all these different moving parts that could impact your estate planning, give us a call and we can walk you through on what the next step or what steps you should consider doing. And really, I would recommend that people go to masteryourwealthradio.com, our website, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's the estate planning portal, and there's a lot of great educational information there as to the importance and the purpose of the estate plan and all the different documents. So please give us a call at 203-872-0009. Again, that number is 203-872-0009.
And again, this is a great opportunity to start checking those items off your estate plan and things like that. And guys, this goes down to where do you want your money to go? How do you want it to be spent? To, oh, by the way, these are my passwords to this account and that account. And this is who you call if this happens. I mean, there's so much information that you need to have in place. And if anybody's been through this, where a loved one has passed away and there's been nothing in place and you can't find any documents, it is not a place you want to be. It becomes just a snowball chasing crazy situation.
It's such a nightmare because I've dealt with this for folks that maybe there was one spouse, there was a spouse that passed away that handled all the finances, but the surviving spouse had no clue as to what they really had in assets and what their what their accounts were and where they are, whether they had life insurance or not, and they couldn't find the documents. And it's like it's not an event that you really want to go through because you're always second guessing whether you found everything, and you don't want to be in that position. So having a lot of organization is very important.
So we all know that the whole goal of retirement is to not run out of money, right? We all know that, right? So how do you do that? How do you do that when the paycheck stops? Because at the end of the day, the paycheck stops from that 9 to 5, but the bills don't stop. The wanting to live a bigger lifestyle, trips, provide for family, whatnot doesn't stop. So how do you create income, grow income, protect your income? Well, there's something called an annuity. And a lot of people say, oh, I hate annuities. I've heard this and that, or my brother, my sister, my friend told me, so I don't like them either. But when it really comes down to the details, they really just don't understand that there's multiple different types of annuities and there's a different fit for each one of them. And at the end of the day, it's offering you guaranteed income in retirement. So what's not to like, David?
Well, I'll tell you, annuities can be a great tool as part of an overall plan as far as your investment structure. And what we always are going to do first is really put together a plan and identify what you need to create as far as solutions and benefits to achieve your spending goals, adjusted for inflation and taxes, because we need to see whether if what you're presently doing is all going to work out. And if you have no annuities in the equation, then we can see. Maybe you don't need the annuity because things will be just fine with what you're doing. But in a lot of cases, people want some added peace of mind knowing that they have at least a certain amount of money they can rely on for as long as they live, as well as their spouse. We just completed a really good income distribution plan for a young couple. The husband retired from a big pharmaceutical. He's worked there a long time. He's got a decent pension. He's good. They both have Social Security, which they won't claim until they're later in life. But he wanted to know what we could do to create a floor of lifetime income and create a benefit that might be bigger than his pension plan was going to offer. And his pension gave him one or two choices. Either you take the lump sum and figure this out on your own, or give them a joint lifetime income with no inflation increases that they could live on for the rest of their life, but they're forfeiting the lump sum to the pension plan. So we do a lot of these plans where we can do what's called a pension maximization strategy, where we take the lump sum and now we can find a really good plan where we can employ that lump sum with no risk, but still have the ability to earn money on that lump sum with market indexes. And this is something that, you gain when the market's up and you don't lose when the market's down. But we can add what's called an income guarantee rider, which will provide a lifetime income. And what we're finding out is we're able to create even more lifetime income greater than what the pension plan was going to offer, but also provide some other benefits, such as a healthcare benefit, which would double that lifetime income if they qualify based on medical reasons. So that pension plan was not offering that. And so in some cases, they're getting also an inflation increase. And they also control and own their lump sum. So now they didn't have to make a very costly decision, possibly, if they took the lump sum versus the life payout from the pension plan. They were able to get both with the plan that we were able to put together. And that was an easy decision for them to make, because not only were they going to get more lifetime income, they had some health care protection, and they had the investment without any market risk at their fingertips if they ever needed it. And so we do a lot of that, and people just don't really understand how these annuities can fit a good planning niche on what they're trying to accomplish if they're looking for more lifetime income on top of their Social Security. And this is something that we educate first. We run the analysis, we do the numbers, and we show them the improvements they can make with these types of annuity structures. And the thing is, people are confused about annuities because they're talked about in general terms when people are reading information about them. And a lot of times there's a lot of misinformation about them, because you're looking at annuities that are called either immediate annuities, which is different than a fixed annuity, which is different than an indexed annuity, which is different than a variable annuity. So you have to really understand how each one works and what of those is the right fit for your planning. So when we do planning, we always look at the analysis first. The details of the analysis will dictate to us based on the client's wants and desires for what they want their money to accomplish for them. And if one of their desires is to have a higher floor of lifetime income, then an indexed annuity with an income rider is a good fit. And we just figure out what is the right balance of the amount they should invest to create that benefit. And once you understand how they work and how they integrate into what your planning objectives are, then the decision's very easy, because you just don't want to blindly invest in anything. I don't care if it's mutual funds, stocks, bonds, or annuities or life insurance. You have to have a plan first. So the plan will really dictate really how you should invest your money to create the long-range solutions and benefits that you want. Because we can customize plans based on what your desired objectives are. And I'll tell you, people come to me all the time. They say, well, I invested this money with this person. And then I'll ask them, well, how do they know that's the best thing for your plan if you don't have a plan? And they can't answer it. I mean, you don't want to be sold anything. You want to invest for a purpose and for a reason and an objective. So people are being sold all the time. And the person who's really selling the product or the annuity, whatever it might be, they don't have enough information about that person to really understand whether that's the right thing they should be investing that client's money in. And so I see this all the time, and it's frustrating because we run up against so many people that have their money in the wrong places, and sometimes we can't do much with it because there might be penalties to restructure things, and sometimes we just can't do much if it's tied up.
David, briefly, for that first meeting, kind of sum up, what is that about? What am I going to get from that meeting you for the first time?
Well, the first meeting is to really get to know each other and get a good sense, on my perspective, get a good sense as to what the concerns are for the person or the couple that we're speaking with, and see what they've done in the past that they've liked and what they're currently worried about that's going on in their financial world. And, we always like to take a high-level review of what they're presently doing financially, and that's why we always offer to do the complimentary forecast analysis, because we can see all the moving parts of their financial world, such as their assets and liabilities and their cash flow and their tax return, and model that out to see if what they continue to do, if they keep doing the same thing, how is that going to look in retirement for the next 30, 40 years, right? I mean, if they're going to retire at age 60, we kind of plan it out 35 years from there. And we want to see, are they going to have any problems? One of the problems might be they might run out of their money. They might spend it down, or they might, not be earning enough on their money, or they're taking too much risk on their money, or they're not taking advantage of some tax strategies. And we're always looking at ways to make them more financially efficient and get more resources from their existing wealth by making better financial decisions. But the thing is, we have to see what they're presently doing, get a snapshot of that, do a financial diagnosis or an x-ray, and now we can see what problems might lie ahead that we are in a position now to have a discussion about putting together a personalized strategic planning program for them so that the details of that analysis will help me identify what solutions and strategies we need to create with how they manage their money and how they position their money so that we can show them how to reduce taxes in the future, how to take less risk, increase their yields, have an income they'll never run out of, and have some backup strategies. So in the event they have the need for out-of-pocket health care, well, now we have a plan for that. Or if a spouse dies, we have a plan to replace the lost income that will be the result of losing one of the two Social Security benefits that will occur when one spouse dies. Or maybe there's a loss of a pension income that we have to have a strategy for. So we always want to make sure that we have contingency plans for events that will happen in the future, but it's going to be unpredictable as to when. But it's, we have to do just like a doctor, right? When you go to your doctor, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. They have to do a diagnosis of what is bothering you, what is your ailment. And then they're going to start looking at tests and lab results and things like that. Well, that's what we're doing with your numbers. We want to take an evaluation and do a review. And from the analysis, we're in a better position to give you a diagnosis of what the problem might be and then give you a remedy or a prescription of how do you put together a better plan to get better results and have more predictability of the outcome with a lot less risk. It's a time-consuming exercise, but it's something we need to do as fiduciaries to make sure whatever we do for you, it's in your best interest and we're creating a lot more value.
For more details or to sit down with David for your complimentary financial GPS, visit masteringyourwealthradio.com.
Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone.
Information provided is not intended as tax or legal advice and should not be relied on as such. You are encouraged to seek tax or legal advice from an independent professional.
Registered investment advisors and investment advisor representatives act as fiduciaries for all of our investment management clients. We have an obligation to act in the best interest of our clients and to make full disclosure of any conflicts of interest. Please refer to our firm brochure or the ADV 2A Item 4 for additional information.